The day Maya Johnson stepped through the tall glass doors of Westfield High. The sun was low and bright, casting long golden rays across the polished floors like a spotlight. She stood at the threshold, shoulders straight but fingers curled tightly around the strap of her backpack. Her heart drummed in her chest, faster than she could manage. Her mind played a loop of phrases she'd been preparing all summer. Hi, I'm Maya. No, I'm not from around here. Yes, my dad's in the military. But even as she repeated them, they felt empty in her mouth. This place wasn't like anywhere she'd ever been, and it certainly didn't feel like it would be kind. To outsiders, Westfield wasn't a small town, but it moved like one. People stuck in place, old friendships carved in stone. At her last school on base in Virginia, kids came and went with each deployment. No one got too comfortable. Here, though, everything felt ... solid, settled, as if the hierarchy had been set a decade ago, and wouldn't budge until graduation. Maya's dark skin caught the eye of a few students as she walked toward the main office. Some stared too long. Others looked away too quickly. Her long braids were pulled back into a neat ponytail. Her sneakers were fresh, her jeans ironed crisp. She'd made sure everything was perfect. Still, it wasn't the kind of perfect Westfield respected. The receptionist didn't even look up when she handed Maya her schedule. Locker 317, third hall, West Wing. Gym is first period, she said, chewing on the end of her glasses. Better. Hurry, you're late. Maya nodded, tucked the schedule into her bag, and headed toward the gymnasium. Her dad's voice echoed in her head, the way it always did when her nerves spiked. You're stronger than the room, Maya. Always remember that. You walk in and it adjusts to you, not the other way around. She'd lived with her dad, Commander David Carter, full-time since her mother passed 2 years ago. He wasn't one for small talk, but his silences carried weight. He taught her to shoot straight, speak clearly, and never back down when it mattered. And though she didn't know the full extent of his Navy SEAL past, he never offered and she never pressed. She understood one thing. You never saw danger until it was too close to stop. The gym doors loomed ahead, already buzzing with noise. Maya paused just before opening them, letting out a breath. Then she stepped inside. The sound hit her first, sneakers squeaking, whistles blowing, teenagers laughing too loudly. She scanned the room. At the far end, a group of cheerleaders practiced a routine in coordinated red and white uniforms. Near them, a crowd of athletes in black and gold warm-ups tossed a football. Coaches barked instructions. No one noticed her. At first, she slid into the bleachers, quietly unpacking her gym clothes. Hey, a voice, syrupy sweet, drifted toward her. You're the new girl, right? Maya looked up. The girl in front of her had impossibly straight blonde hair, white, teeth gleaming like they'd been polished for the cover of a teen magazine. Her posture was perfect, arms folded just enough to seem confident but not threatening. I'm Brooke, she said, flipping her hair. Senior captain of the cheer squad. You're Maya, right? I heard you moved from where was it? Georgia, Virginia. Maya replied cautiously. Brooke smiled wider, like she'd already won something. Cute. Listen, we're holding tryouts tomorrow. You should come. It'd be fun. Maya blinked. I wasn't really planning to, nonsense, Brooke said, already turning. I'll put your name down. It wasn't a question. By second period. Maya's locker had already been labeled with a small sticky note. Fresh meat. Someone had drawn a pig in pink Sharpie. She peeled it off without a word, aware of the laughter down the hall. Her classes went by in a blur, polite teachers, whispering students, and the faint sense that everyone already knew her before she spoke. People stared when she answered questions. They stared harder when she walked past the lunch table without sitting. During lunch, she sat outside under a tree, chewing quietly on a turkey sandwich and pretending not to care. A girl with dark curls and earbuds walked by, glanced at her, then kept going. A boy with braces nearly tripped watching her dot. No one said hi, no one sat down at home that night. Her dad stirred a pot of chili in the kitchen while Maya unpacked her day. "You tried out for cheer?" he asked, amused. "I didn't try out. Brooke signed me up. I think she wants to watch me fail." He raised an eyebrow. "Then don't fail." She rolled her eyes. "It's not that simple." He turned off the stove and handed her a bowl. "Maya, do you think I survived 5 combat tours because things were simple?" She took a spoonful, muttering, "You survived because you're a SEAL." He leaned against the counter. "No, I survived because I adapted. Fast. Doesn't matter if you're in Afghanistan or Westfield High. Learn the terrain. Know the players, then take your shot when it counts." The next morning, she showed up to cheer tryouts in a plain black tank top and track shorts. Every other girl was wearing coordinated red outfits with matching bows. Maya kept her head high. Brooke's voice carried across the gym. "Let's see what the newbie can do." Maya inhaled, counted to 3, and started the routine. She'd trained in gymnastics on base, danced hip-hop in summer camps. Her body moved with clean, practiced precision. By the time she landed a back handspring that made 2 juniors gasp, the room had gone quiet. Brooke's smile had stiffened. "Not bad," she said, clapping once. "We'll be in touch." That night, Maya got the message. A DM from an unknown account. "You should know your place, new girl. This isn't the base anymore." The days that followed blurred into something sharp and cold. Whispers followed her in the hallway. Her books were knocked out of her hands 3 times in a week. Her gym locker was filled with shaving cream and old bananas. She didn't tell anyone, not her teachers, not even her dad. Instead, she trained harder. Each morning before sunrise, she ran the perimeter of the neighborhood. Each evening after homework, she stretched and practiced her cheer moves until her arms ached. She didn't care about the squad. She cared about holding her ground by the end of the week. She made the team. Brooke didn't look happy. Friday, after school, the squad stayed late for uniform fittings. Maya's name was listed last. When she entered the locker room, the others were already leaving. Brooke lingered, arms crossed, alone. "So," she said, "you think you belong now?" Maya kept her tone calm. "I never said that." Brooke stepped closer. "I know your type. Think you can just waltz in, flash some talent, and earn a spot. This school runs on legacy. I've worked for 4 years to own this team. You're a glitch." "I didn't ask to be signed up," Maya said. "You pushed me into this. I just didn't back down." Brooke smirked. "Don't worry. You'll learn when to quit soon enough." As Maya turned to leave, Brooke added, "By the way, nice dad. Ex-military, right? Must suck being a nobody now." Maya froze. Something shifted in her chest. She turned back, eyes calm and steady. "You have no idea who you're talking about." Brooke rolled her eyes. "Sure I do. All washed-up soldiers are the same." Maya smiled faintly. The kind of smile her father wore before things got serious. We'll see. That night, Maya sat with her dad at the kitchen table, the radio humming softly in the background. He was sharpening a pocket knife with slow, rhythmic strokes. She finally spoke. "Dad, were you ever bullied?" He didn't look up. "Everyone is. The question is what you do with it, and what if you're outnumbered?" He stopped, met her eyes. "Then you fight smarter, and you never, ever let them define you." Maya's shoes clicked softly against the checkered tiles of Westfield High's hallway. Every step echoed like a quiet challenge, like she was walking through enemy territory. The floor beneath her was split into black and white squares, most like a metaphor for the invisible line being drawn around her. She walked straight. But the eyes, they were everywhere. Watching, judging. She had made the cheer squad, but that didn't change anything. If anything, it made things worse. During practice, the girls would walk past her, whispering, giggling, snickering behind their palms. Once, her water bottle disappeared. Another time, someone blasted a racist rap track through the locker room speaker, lyrics soaked in slurs. Voices laughing. It echoed in her ears, the kind of laugh that bruises. And always, standing at the center, was Brooke. Blonde, perfect, that movie star smile, but a glacier behind her eyes. Westfield's queen. She didn't need a crown. Brooke had a problem with Maya. Maya was new, and she wasn't scared. She didn't bend. That made her a threat. One day after practice, Coach Peterson called a 5-minute break. Maya stepped off to tie her loose lace. As she bent down, she saw Brooke and 2 other girls huddled around her phone, whispering, giggling. Then Brooke walked over, her voice syrup sweet, but the tone sharp as glass. "Maya," she said, with that fake smile, "you're really brave. Walking onto this team like that, I mean, not everyone has a place here. You get that, right?" Maya met her eyes, calm, unflinching. "You think I don't belong?" Brooke laughed and turned away. Her minions followed, giggling. That laugh, again. Maya's stomach turned. But she didn't flinch. She swallowed it, like always. That night, over dinner, she sat across from her father at the kitchen table. She wanted to say something, but the words jammed in her throat like old keys that no longer fit. "How was practice?" he asked, breaking the silence. "It was fine," she replied. "Any trouble?" She shrugged. "Some girls are ... weird. Maybe they thought I'd quit." Her father paused, then spoke quietly. "First time I got deployed in Iraq, they gave me the worst bed in the tent, called me the city kid. Didn't sleep for weeks." "What did you do?" she asked. "Made my place," he said. "Proved I was staying." She didn't say anything, just nodded, filed it away. 2 days later, a video went viral around school. Someone had edited Maya's cheer tryouts, chopping up the footage, layering circus music behind it. Her moves distorted, her face frozen mid-pose, turned into a joke. People laughed, loudly. By lunch, everyone had seen it. Someone had written on her locker in thick black marker, "Tryout clown." She didn't cry, not publicly, but the burn was real. She sent her dad a single-word text, "Lunch." They ate burgers in his truck, parked on the edge of the school lot. No music, just quiet. She finally said, "Someone posted a video of me, edited. Everyone's laughing." He sat still, listening. "You want me to do something?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, I just ... wanted to eat with you." He took a long breath. When things go bad, SEALs say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. She squinted. What does that even mean? He smiled. Means don't rush, don't lash out, move carefully, move smart. She nodded, quiet, but that line stuck. That week, Coach Peterson called a squad meeting. All the girls sat in a circle, phones away. The room was silent. Coach played 2 videos on the big screen. One was the original tryout, the other the edited joke. The difference was night and day. No one laughed this time. No one dared to. Things shifted after that. Subtly, no apologies came. But someone handed Maya her water bottle without a word. Another girl shared her granola bar during practice. Small things, but Brooke, she stayed quiet, watching, calculating. That Friday was the big game. The stadium lights cast everything in silver and shadow. The cheer routine was tight, electric. And then, out of nowhere, Coach called out, Maya, your base for the final pyramid. Maya froze. Me, you're the strongest. You've earned it. The routine started. The pyramid rose. For a second, everything held. Then something wobbled left side. Brooks sighed. Maya braced. She locked her feet, held her breath, lifted, and the structure steadied. The pyramid held. The crowd cheered. It was loud and hot and golden, but Maya didn't smile. She didn't beam. She just breathed, deep, steady, grounded. That night, back home, her dad watched the replay on his phone. He grinned. You were solid as a tank. She laughed. I'm a tank now. No, he said, his voice soft. You're the shield. The fluorescent lights buzzed softly above the tiled hallway, casting long pale shadows across the row of grey lockers. Maya's footsteps echoed down the corridor, her shoes clicking rhythmically as she walked with her arms clutched tightly around her textbooks. She tried to ignore the whispers, the way shoulders turned and eyes followed her. Every move at her locker, she fumbled with the combination. 18, 22, 9. The lock clicked open, but just as she started to swing the door wide, it slammed shut again with a metallic bang. Her hand recoiled. She turned. Brooke was standing behind her, flanked by 2 other girls, Jenna and Lily. Brooke's blonde hair was curled to glossy perfection, and her cheerleader uniform fit like it was tailored to her bones. She didn't smile. She didn't have to. Looks like you dropped something, Brooke said, holding up one of Maya's notebooks she'd clearly snatched from the open locker before slamming it shut. Oops. Maya's eyes narrowed. Give it back. Brooke smiled then, sharp and glinting. You know, most people try to fit in before they start showing off, but not you. You came in here all, I'm the new girl, and suddenly, Coach puts you on the team. Just like that. Her voice turned syrupy, impressive. I mean, you must be very flexible. Jenna snorted. Asterisk, Maya didn't flinch. I tried out like everyone else. No, sweetie, Brooke said, stepping closer. You weren't like everyone else. You were better. That's the problem. She dropped the notebook with exaggerated drama. It landed in a small puddle of juice on the floor from a leaky bottle someone had left nearby. Pages instantly began to curl and soak. Maya bent down and picked it up, quietly wiping it on her jeans, refusing to give them the satisfaction. But Brooke wasn't done, you know. She said, cocking her head, You don't belong here. This school, this team, it's not your scene. Why don't you go back to wherever you came from before people get tired of pretending to be nice? Maya stood, her expression unreadable. Her heart was hammering in her chest, but her face remained. Still, I belong exactly where I am, she said softly. Brooke blinked, her smile faltering for half a second. Then she rolled her eyes and turned. Come on, girls, she said, her voice full of mockery. We've got practice. Some of us actually earned our spots. They disappeared around the corner. Maya exhaled, slow and shaky. She stood in the hallway for a moment, eyes closed, trying to push the burn of frustration away. The tears that threatened her didn't come, not now, not here. At home, the lights were dim and the house smelled of peppered stew and lemon cleaner. Her dad wasn't home yet. He rarely was before dusk. She sat at the kitchen table with her damp notebook, carefully peeling pages apart, dabbing at them with a towel. She stared at the name scrawled across the cover in her own careful handwriting. Maya Carter, English Lit. She'd been proud of that name once. Later that night, her father came in without a sound, as he always did, the front door clicking shut behind him. His movements were silent and deliberate, like a man trained to vanish into any room. He wore civilian clothes, but there was something about his posture, the ramrod straightness, the precision of his gestures that betrayed the soldier beneath. Maya looked up from the couch as he walked in. Hey, she said. He smiled softly. Hey kiddo, how was school? She hesitated. Fine, he didn't press. He just nodded and sat beside her. They watched the news in silence for a while. He never pried, but he always knew. After a while, he glanced at the damp notebook still sitting on the coffee table. His brow creased slightly. Maya, she looked at him. You know you don't have to go through it alone, right? She hesitated again. Handling it, he nodded. Good. Just don't confuse silence with strength. You've got both in you, but the strongest thing you can do sometimes is speak. She nodded slowly, but didn't say anything. That night, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing the echo of Brooke's voice in her head, and underneath it, the whisper of her dad's. Don't confuse silence with strength. The next day brought rain. The halls were slick with damp shoes, and the air smelled like wet denim and cheap perfume. Maya walked into the locker room early. The space was quiet, the echo of her footsteps bouncing off the tiled walls. She changed in silence, pulled her hoodie over her curls, and went to the gym before practice. No one else was there yet. She stepped onto the court and stood in the center, looking up at the bright white lights above. It was the only place she felt weightless. She began to move. Her body bent and stretched through the choreography, high kicks, turns, tumbles, a cartwheel into a perfect landing. She didn't think about Brooke or the other girls. She didn't think about being new or black or different. She just danced, and then came the slow clap. It echoed. She turned. Coach Simmons stood at the doorway, arms crossed. That was beautiful, she said. Maya flushed. I was just practicing. Coach walked over. You weren't just practicing. You were leading. You know the difference. Maya shook her head. Leaders show people what's possible before anyone asks. That's what you did. Coach paused. And that's why I made you lead flyer. Maya blinked. You, what? You heard me. You've earned it. Not because of anything Brooke thinks or says, but because you're better, period. Maya swallowed the lump rising in her throat. Thank you, Coach nodded. Now go show them what a leader looks like. But leadership didn't come easy. That afternoon, when the full team arrived, Coach made the announcement. Brooke's face fell. It was subtle, just the barest twitch at the corner of her mouth, but Maya saw it. And the next moment, Brooke was all smiles. "Congrats," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Guess we're all about inclusivity now." The tone was sweet as syrup and twice as sticky. Practice was hard. Maya was pushed, physically and mentally. Every time she was thrown into the air, she had to trust the hands beneath her, and she could feel the hesitation in them. Not everyone wanted to catch her. The real blow came in the locker room. Someone had scrawled a message across her locker in permanent black marker. "Trash don't fly," and beneath it, someone had taped a photo, an old one, clearly printed from a social media account she hadn't used in over a year. It was Maya at a family barbecue, her curls wild and uncombed, ketchup on her cheek, her braces shining. She looked like a kid, like someone trying to belong. Maya stood staring at it for a long moment, and then she peeled it off. She didn't cry, she didn't flinch. She took a permanent marker out of her backpack, wrote a quote from Maya Angelou beneath the graffiti. "Still, I rise." The next day, the message was gone. Someone had scrubbed it clean, but Maya's words remained, in sharp black ink, clear, unshaken. Later that week, she sat on the bleachers while the rest of the team stretched on the court. She pulled her shoes tighter, adjusting the laces with slow, steady fingers. Brooke sat beside her. "Listen," she said. "You don't have to make this harder than it is." Maya turned, meaning, "I'm just saying, this isn't your fight. You're making enemies. Is it worth it?" Maya stared at her. "I'm not fighting anyone. I'm just not backing down." Brooke's smile thinned. "That sounds a lot like the same thing." But Maya didn't answer, because she knew now people like Brooke didn't want to fight. They wanted surrender, and Maya had none to give. The Friday night lights bathed the football field in a golden glow. The stands were packed with parents, students, and the sleepy energy of a suburban crowd looking for a distraction from their week. Laughter floated through the air, punctuated by the occasional burst of cheer from the marching band. Beneath the bleachers, where the concrete smelled faintly of wet grass and engine oil, Maya laced up her sneakers in silence. Her cheer uniform clung to her in the humid air, and she could feel the tight buzz of nerves settling in her stomach. Coach Simmons passed behind her, calling out formations to the team, but Maya hardly noticed. She was watching the field, watching the crowd. Her dad hadn't said he'd come. He rarely did. But a part of her always looked. Brooke strolled by with a smirk. "Try not to fall on your face out there, flyer," she whispered, her voice low and edged with sugar and venom. Maya didn't look at her. She just stood up, rolled her shoulders, and walked toward the other girls. She'd spent the last 2 weeks perfecting every move, every grip, every landing. Her body ached from extra reps and late-night practice in the empty gym when no one was watching. Her palms were calloused, her back throbbed, but her timing was flawless. The squad lined up at the edge of the field. As the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers, the crowd cheered. The players ran out onto the grass, banging helmets and hollering like warriors. And then it was time. The first pyramid went smoothly. Maya flew up with grace, balanced on the shoulders of 2 steady bases, her arms held out like wings. She smiled, even though her heart raced. The second stunt, a toss basket, required complete trust. She bent her knees, counted the beat, 5, 6, 7, 8, and was launched into the air, flipping once before landing in the soft, firm hands. Below, the crowd roared. But on the final formation, something shifted. She was in position, weight balanced, breath steady. She felt the familiar hands beneath her ankles, the rhythm she knew by heart. She rose, legs locking, arms out. But as the flyer above her made her turn, Maya felt her left base tremble. It was Brooke. There was a split second of instability. Maya's leg wobbled. Her body dipped. Then dash snap, she fell. The landing wasn't a full collapse, but it was jarring. She hit the mat wrong, her hips slamming the turf, her elbows scraping along the edge. Gasps from the crowd. Coach's whistle. Maya winced as she sat up, pain radiating down her side. Brooke hovered above her, hands on her hips. Guess some of us still need practice. Maya blinked through the haze. She knew that wasn't an accident. She'd felt the let dash go, Coach stormed. What happened? Before Maya could answer, Brooke chirped. I think she lost balance. Coach looked between them, lips tight. Later, in the locker room, Maya pressed a cold pack against her side. The scrape on her elbow had stopped bleeding, but the sting lingered. A few girls offered sympathetic glances, but no one said anything aloud. Not until Liv spoke. She didn't lose her balance, Liv said, her voice quiet but firm. You dropped her. Brooke snapped around. Excuse me, you pulled your hand away, Liv said. I saw it. We all saw it. A few nods followed, hesitant but real. Brooke's jaw clenched. You're seriously going to take her side? Liv crossed her arms. I'm taking the truth's side. Brooke didn't answer. She grabbed her duffel and left, her footsteps echoing against the tiles like a retreating storm. Maya sat in silence, unsure whether to be grateful or angry. She hadn't wanted this. Not the drama, not the division. She just wanted to cheer. That night, at home, her dad was waiting in the kitchen. The smell of takeout filled the room. Pad thai, her favorite. You were at the game, she asked. Surprised, ***, he nodded, pulling 2 drinks from the fridge. Stood in the back. Less noise. She sat, her sore hip protesting the wooden chair. Saw me fall, huh? He looked at her, that calm Navy SEAL stillness in his eyes. I saw you. Get up. She didn't speak. Falling's not the failure, he said. Staying down is. Maya stared at her plate, fork turning noodles over and over. I don't know if I belong there, Dad. It's like every time I do something right, someone's waiting to tear it down. He leaned back. Then do it. Anyway, every time, because that's the part that scares them. She looked up. He smiled. You shine, Maya. That makes some people squint. She laughed, just a little. The weekend passed with slow hours and bruises that turned purple and yellow, like spilled watercolor. She iced, stretched, recovered. She didn't get any messages from Brooke. No apologies, no explanations, but live texted, open gym Monday after 5, you in? Maya replied with a thumbs up. At the open gym, it was just a few of them, live, Taylor, Amara, and Maya. They didn't talk much. They just moved, practiced, repeated tosses and grips and tumbles until their bodies ached at the end of the night. As they sat drinking Gatorade and catching their breath, Liv turned to Maya. I know. You don't want to make this a thing, she said. But it already is. Brooke's losing control, and that scares her. But you're not alone anymore. Maya blinked at her. We've got your back. Maya felt the weight of those words settle in her chest like armor. She nodded, unable to speak. The next school day, she walked through the halls different. She wasn't louder, She wasn't bolder, but she wasn't afraid. When she opened her locker and found a small note tucked inside, she opened it without fear. "Watch your back, B." She folded it in half, slipped it into her back pocket, and kept walking, because there was nothing Brooke could do now that she hadn't already tried. And Maya wasn't going anywhere. Asterisk. The gym pulsed with noise, sneakers squeaking against the polished floor, students shouting over blaring pop music. The school mascot dancing like its life depended on it. Red and white banners hung from the rafters, and cheerleaders in glitter-striped uniforms prepared to perform their tight routine one final time before the regionals. The pep rally was supposed to be a distraction, a celebration, but for Maya it felt like a pressure cooker about to blow. She hadn't wanted to perform, not after everything that had happened, but Coach Reese had insisted. "They're expecting you. You're the anchor. You quit now. They'll think the rumors are true," she'd said, her voice sharp, but her eyes full of something else. Not pity, not warmth. Something like regret. Maya had nodded, too tired to fight. But now, standing in line with the others, a knot twisted in her stomach. Brooke was 3 people down, stretching like she had nothing on her conscience. As if she hadn't turned the whole school against Maya with a few cruel whispers and a faked video. As if she hadn't humiliated her on every platform imaginable. The gym floor glistened under the lights, and the bleachers were packed. The student body was here, and they weren't cheering for Maya. Whispers floated toward her like smoke. "That's the Navy SEAL girl. She's the one from the video, right? I heard her dad got her in." Maya closed her eyes for a second, just 1 second. She breathed in, slowly, like her father had taught her during training. "You don't need them to believe in you." Carter's voice echoed in her head. "You just need to believe you're not alone." Then the music hit, the beat sharp and loud, and they moved. The routine kicked off with perfect timing. Brooke led the front, full of sugar and sharpness. All eyes on her. Maya moved 2 steps behind, every motion precise, every flip clean, even though her body was screaming. Every landing thudded up her shins, but she pushed through. She had to. Then came the basket toss. They hoisted Brooke up, arms trembling beneath her weight, and she flipped into the air. And that's when it happened. From somewhere in the bleachers, a phone started blaring. A sound file. A voice. It was Maya's voice, but twisted, distorted. Double quotes, "Don't touch me. You're disgusting." A clip edited from a moment in the locker room 2 weeks ago. Taken out of context. Played like a siren, the cheerleaders faltered mid-routine. Brooke stumbled on her landing. The crowd gasped. Maya froze. Her stomach sank. A few kids burst out laughing. Others pulled out their phones. She could feel the heat crawl up her throat. Then someone in the bleachers yelled, "Hey Maya, bet your daddy taught you how to fight real dirty, huh?" That did it. The gym erupted, and Maya, for the first time, didn't run. She stepped forward, right in the center of the court, eyes scanning the crowd until she found the source of the sound. Logan Jacobs, Jr., AV Club, grinning behind his phone. "You think this is funny?" she shouted, voice steady, booming over the murmurs. The microphone crackled. Still live from the coach's podium, playing someone's private conversation, editing it, humiliating them in front of the whole school. "You think that makes you powerful?" The room went still. Someone had cut the music. "I am a cheerleader. I trained for it. I worked for it. You didn't build anything. You just tore someone else down." Her hands shook, but she didn't step back. My dad didn't fight overseas for this country so you could use your freedom to destroy people. For likes, you don't even know me. None of you do. You just saw what someone wanted you to see. From the sideline, Brooke was pale, clutching her water bottle like it was armor. You want the truth? Maya said. I was new. I was quiet. I was black, and some of you decided that made me a threat. Silence. Then, from the back of the bleachers, slow, deliberate clapping. A single person, then another, then more. It wasn't everyone, but it was enough, coach. Reese stepped out with a wireless mic, her face unreadable. That's enough, she said. Pep rallies over. Later that afternoon, Maya sat on the edge of the school's loading dock, her duffel bag beside her, and her head in her hands. She wasn't crying, not exactly. It was like her body had forgotten how she just sat there, feeling hollowed out, drained, and somehow. Later, she heard the scrape of boots behind her. You held your ground. She turned Commander Carter. He stood with arms folded, his eyes unreadable beneath his cap. He wore civilian clothes today, jeans and a plain black hoodie, but he still carried that military calm, like a storm waiting for permission to hit. I didn't plan to, she said. I know. He sat beside her, handing her a protein bar. You think this is over? She asked. He peeled the wrapper for her. No, but it's turning. She looked at him. Did you know something like this would happen? I've seen it before. He said simply, people afraid of what they don't understand, or jealous of it. They test you, break you down, wait to see if you'll stay down. Maya's fingers tightened around the wrapper. I'm tired, Dad. I know, I didn't want to be a symbol. I just wanted to dance. Carter put a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. You don't have to be a symbol. You just have to be real. They sat in silence. Then Carter added, and by the way, the principal called me. She saw the video too. She knows it was faked. Maya's head shot up. She what? She's suspending Logan. Maybe pressing charges. What about Brooke? His mouth pressed into a hard line. She'll be dealt with. Not by me, by her own decisions. Her world's already cracking. Let it. Maya let that settle. A soft breeze blew through the trees above them. The sun was beginning to set, turning the sky a bruised gold. Can I still try out for state finals? She asked quietly. You can do anything you want, Carter replied. You earned that. And for the first time in weeks, Maya smiled. Not a forced one, not a broken one, a real one. Asterisk. She wasn't done. She was just getting started. It had been 2 weeks since the locker incident, and the whispers had not stopped. If anything, they'd only mutated quieter now, more calculated, like venom tucked behind polite smiles. Maya walked through the halls like a ghost some days, headphones in even when no music played, just to keep the noise out. She could feel eyes on her back. The strange way conversations would dip into silence as she walked past, and then swell again after she rounded the corner. But she wasn't alone. Every night, her father sat across from her at the dinner table. Calm as ever, his presence solid, unmoving, like the center of a storm. He never asked about school. He never pried. Instead, he let silence make space for her voice, and that alone made her feel safer than anything else. One evening, after she quietly pushed her half-eaten dinner away, he simply said, You know, Maya, silence can be louder than words, but sometimes you gotta speak up just to remind the world you're still breathing. She didn't say anything then, but she remembered, and she breathed. Practice had become something else entirely. Ever since the video leaked of Brooke tripping Maya in front of the entire squad, there'd been consequences. Not official ones. The school wasn't going to act on rumors and grainy iPhone footage, but social consequences, like the cracks in Brooke's image, started to show. A couple of the girls, like Emily and Tasha, started keeping a little more distance from Brooke during stretches, started laughing a little too hard when Maya made a joke. Maya noticed. Brooke did too. That was dangerous, because Brooke thrived on control. It was the last Friday before homecoming, and Coach Ramirez had called for a late evening practice under the stadium lights. The field was soaked in golden beams as the sun dipped below the horizon, and the air was thick with the smell of turf and sweat. Maya could feel the tension crackling through every warm-up. Brooke smiled too brightly, shouted cheers too enthusiastically. It was a performance, and Maya knew it, halfway through the routine. Brooke accidentally forgot her footing during the pyramid lift and nearly sent Maya crashing down from the top. Emily and Tasha caught her just in time. "Oh my God, Maya. Are you okay?" Tasha's voice was high, anxious, genuine. Brooke smirked. "Oops. Guess someone should have tightened her grip." Coach Ramirez didn't say a word, just blew her whistle and told them to reset. Maya bit the inside of her cheek so hard it bled. That night, Maya stayed up late, replaying the moment in her mind, over and over. The fear, the weightlessness, the way Brooke had looked up at her as she fell, not with horror, but satisfaction. Maya didn't cry. She didn't rage. She planned. Saturday morning, she woke up early and went running with her father. It had become a ritual between them, not for fitness, but for connection. He ran in silence, always letting her set the pace, always just a few steps behind, as though saying, "I'm here, but this is your road." They ran 2 miles before she finally said, "They're not gonna stop." He nodded. "No, they won't." She looked ahead, eyes steady. "I want to fight back. Not physically, but for real." He stopped. The sky was still dusky pink, and the breath fogged between them in the cool morning air. "Then you fight smart. Not for revenge, for clarity, for control." She knew what that meant. He was giving her permission, not to retaliate, but to reclaim. Maya spent the next week building her own kind of power. She quietly asked Tasha to help her run a new routine, something no one had seen yet, something athletic, bold, sharp. She booked early morning gym time and trained when no one else was around. She didn't tell anyone, didn't post about it. She just worked. On the day of homecoming, the gym buzzed with anticipation, bleachers full, music thumping. The cheer squad was set to perform at halftime, Brooke's show, supposedly. But Maya had talked to Coach Ramirez behind closed doors. Just once. "I'm not asking for favors," Maya had said, her voice calm. "Just give me the mic after the routine." Ramirez had stared at her for a long moment, then nodded once. When the time came, Brooke strutted to center court, flanked by her usual entourage, all fake smiles and hair flips. Their routine was solid, perfectly synchronized, high kicks, textbook moves, but it was just that textbook. No soul. Then Maya stepped forward as the applause began to die down. "Before you go," she said into the mic, "there's one more performance, a solo." Confusion rippled through the crowd. Coach didn't stop her. Brooke's jaw clenched. The music started, a slow, haunting remix of a pop song heavy on piano and strings. And then Maya danced. It wasn't cheer, it was raw movement. A blend of cheer stunts and modern dance, sharp yet flowing, anger turned into choreography. Each jump, each flip, each stomp on the gym floor sent a ripple through the audience. By the end, she stood breathless at the center, sweat running down her temples, arms spread like wings. The silence after was total. Then the applause came like thunder. Brooke couldn't speak. Tasha hugged Maya so tightly she nearly knocked her over. Even Coach clapped, just once, but it meant everything. Later that night, Brooke's carefully curated Instagram story disappeared. The filtered posts stopped, and on Monday morning the whispers in the hallway had changed. Now they weren't about Maya's race, or her hair, or her attitude. They were about her strength, her grace, her power. But Brooke wasn't finished. After school, Maya found a single white envelope taped to her locker. Inside was a photo, blurry, black and white, of a man in uniform, her father, and a message scribbled on the back: "Even warriors have weak spots." Maya stared at it for a long time. Then she smiled, because Brooke had just made her biggest mistake. She made it personal, and Maya had been trained her whole life for what came next. The hallway was quiet except for the hum of the fluorescent lights, the kind of silence that falls right after the storm but before the damage is understood. Maya stood alone, the white envelope crumpled slightly in her fist, her thumb brushing against the chilling words on the back of the photo. Even warriors have weak spots. Her father in uniform. They knew, and not just some random rumor or whispered. Guess in the cafeteria, someone had a photo. Someone had taken time to dig, to print it, to craft the message. It was a threat disguised as a taunt. But to Maya, it was a declaration of war. She didn't go to her next class. Instead, she walked outside, past the edge of the football field, where the school faded into a cluster of trees. She sat on a bench, gripping the photo like it was a fuse burning in her hand. Her heart wasn't pounding, her breath was steady, but something inside her had shifted. Something old, something she recognized not from school, or cheer, or teenage drama, but from the way her father walked into a room like he had already measured every exit. It was the calm before contact. When she finally got home, her father was already in the backyard, hands in the soil, sleeves rolled up, trimming the edges of the garden like he was prepping a battlefield. She didn't say hello. She just walked over and held the photo out to him. He took it with one glance and nodded once. No anger, no fear, just awareness. "Do you recognize the face?" he asked. "It's you," she said. "A long time ago." He flipped it over. "Read the words. So they're trying to get into your head." "It's Brooke," she said, "or someone close to her." He looked at her, steady and calm. "You want to hit back. I want to know who else is helping her." He gave a small smile, not warm, not cold, just ... proud. That's the right place to start. That night, they sat at the dining room table with Maya's laptop open between them. He didn't take over. He didn't type a thing. He just asked the right questions. Who would have access to a photo like that? Maybe yearbooks, ... family archives, maybe even government records. And how would Brooke, a high school cheerleader, get something like that? She couldn't, not alone, exactly. So they traced backwards. They looked at Brooke's recent posts, friends she'd tagged, people who had liked certain suspicious photos. Maya followed the digital breadcrumbs. Not like a teenage girl scrolling social media, but like a recon agent moving through surveillance. And then she found it. One name stood out. Garrett Lawn, not a student, a cousin, college, sophomore, intern at the local paper. He'd posted something 2 weeks ago, a vintage-style post with old military photos celebrating local heroes. Maya clicked through. One of the photos was cropped differently, but it was the same shot. Her dad in desert fatigues. There. It was. Brooke has a cousin who pulled this from a veteran's archive, Maya said quietly. He had to dig, which means she asked him to. Her dad leaned back, silent for a long moment. They're playing with information now, he said. Not fists. That's grown-up warfare. So how do I fight back? She asked. He stood up slowly and placed a hand on her shoulder. You don't match it. You outclass it. The next day at school, Maya walked the halls with a different kind of fire in her eyes. Not anger, clarity. She wasn't reacting anymore. She was moving forward, one step at a time. Her first move was subtle. She sent a private message to Garrett Lawn's Instagram account. Simple, clean. Hey Garrett, just wanted to thank you for doing Brooke's dirty work. If you're going to pull classified military photos, at least crop them better. P.S. She's going down soon. Might want to distance yourself. No threats, no evidence, just ... implication. That alone was enough. 3 hours later, Brooke's cousin blocked her account, deleted the photo, and changed his profile to private first. Domino, by midweek, Maya had uploaded a video, not a rant, not a confrontation. A performance she filmed herself, redoing her solo dance, this time in the school gym, with better lighting, tighter choreography, and a voiceover layered on top. Her own voice. When people try to break you, they always start with your name, then your body, then your family. But I was raised by someone who taught me to never let strangers write my story. You can whisper lies about me, but I will always answer with truth, in motion, in silence, in strength. The video went viral within the school in 6 hours. Over 4,000 views, students reposting it, teachers commenting on it. Even the assistant principal liked it with a rare emoji. Brooke saw it. Maya knew she did. But that wasn't the end. Asterisk, because Brooke, even cornered, was dangerous. That Friday, just before the bell rang for last period, Maya got called to the office. Not by the secretary, by Principal Hollis himself. When she entered, Brooke was already sitting there, a tearful expression painted across her perfect face. In front of her, a printed screenshot of Maya's message to Garrett. Maya didn't flinch. Principal Hollis cleared his throat. Maya. It seems a student's family member received a threatening message from you. I never threatened anyone, she said calmly. I told the truth, Brooke sniffled. She said I'm going down. That's intimidation. Principal. Hollis looked back and forth between them. Maya ... This school takes harassment very seriously. She leaned forward, locking eyes with him. And what about locker vandalism? Stairwell sabotage, circulated videos and anonymous envelopes. He blinked. There's no proof of any of that. Maya pulled her phone from her pocket and placed it on the desk. I've been documenting everything, every incident, every threat, every screenshot. If you'd like, I can send a copy to the school board and my father's attorney. The silence in that room was louder than any shout. Principal Hollis cleared his throat again. Perhaps we all need to take a breath, Tensions are clearly high. Brooke's face twisted. It wasn't going her way. Not this time. I think we're done here, Maya said softly, standing. Unless you'd like to make it official, in which case I'll call the district. She didn't wait for permission to leave. The hallway felt different when she walked out. She wasn't smaller anymore. The weight of Brooke's manipulations, the fear, the isolation, it was all breaking away. Layer by layer didn't just survive the fire. She learned how to shape it. Later that night, she sat beside her father on the back porch, the wind stirring the trees, fireflies blinking across the yard like tiny sparks. He passed her a small, worn coin. Military issue. What's this? Given to me on my last deployment. Stands for integrity under pressure. She held it in her palm like it was glass. You've earned it more than I ever did, he said. She didn't speak for a while, then finally, I'm not done yet. He smiled, slow and proud. No, baby girl, you're just getting started. The rain had softened overnight, leaving a hush over the streets of Westfield. Puddles mirrored the grey sky above, and the chill in the air was the kind that sank slowly into your bones, quiet, creeping, unnoticed until it settled. Maya stood on the curb outside her house, arms folded, her breath fogging in the air, backpack slung over one shoulder. But her eyes weren't on the road or the misty morning. They were locked on the figures inside the house behind her, watching, waiting. Inside, her father moved through the living room like a ghost, silent but alert. Every motion purposeful, scanning the newspaper like he was scanning a mission file. And her mother stood by the window, arms crossed, lips pursed tight in that way she did when she wasn't ready to speak, but had already decided something. Maya could feel the tension sitting on her like extra weight. There hadn't been a single mention of Brooke, not since the assembly, not since the footage, and yet, in the silence, something had shifted. They knew, everyone knew. School had become something else, entirely. Brooke hadn't shown up the next day, or the day after. Rumors ran like wildfire. She'd been suspended, expelled, sued. Her mum had called in lawyers. Her father had flown back from LA. No one knew what was real, but the fear on people's faces when they passed Maya was very real. It wasn't just guilt anymore. It was awe. And that scared Maya more than anything, because fear didn't make people kind. It just made them careful. The moment she walked into the school building, the halls parted like something from a movie. Eyes dropped, conversations died mid-sentence, and for the first time, no one tried to stop her from walking straight through the middle. She hated it. Every step felt heavier. Lonelier at her locker. She took an extra breath before opening it. A note fluttered to the ground, folded tight, in shaky cursive. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I should have said something. No name, just guilt. She crushed it and shoved it deep into her bag. Hey, the voice was soft, hesitant, Riley. Her voice was quieter now, but her eyes looked clearer, less guarded. "Want to sit with me today?" she asked, thumb picking nervously at her sleeve. Maya blinked, seriously. Riley gave a slow nod. "I think we all owe you more than an apology. At least lunch." Maya wasn't sure how to feel about that, but she nodded anyway. When she stepped into the cafeteria later, something strange happened. People clapped, just a few at first, then more, until the noise filled the room like a slow thunder. Maya stood frozen. Applause was never part of her daydreams. Not here, not like this. She turned to Riley, who only offered a tired shrug. I didn't start it, but maybe they need it more than you do. Maya didn't smile, but she didn't cry either. She just walked to the table and sat down across the room. From the furthest corner, someone watched. Olivia, the girl who used to trail Brooke like a shadow. She was alone now, her eyes cold and unreadable, and behind that cold, something darker brewed, because Brooke might have been the queen, but every queen had knights and pawns, and not all of them were ready to surrender. That night, Maya sat in her room, legs curled beneath her, flipping through old texts and newer threats. Some were deleted before they even finished downloading. Others she forwarded quietly to her father, who said nothing but always answered with a simple, received, I'm on it. There was one in particular, an unknown number, no words, just a video, not of her, not of Brooke, but of her father. It was old, grainy, probably leaked. He was in uniform, in motion, pulling someone from a crash site, a rescue, a mission. It ended abruptly. Then another message. You're not the only one who knows how to fight. Maya stared at the screen. For the first time, her hands trembled. Someone had gone digging. Too deep. She knocked quietly. On her father's door. He opened it before she could speak, his expression calm. Unreadable, but his eyes sharpened the moment he saw her phone. He took it, watched, silent, then locked it, and handed it back. They made a mistake, he said simply. Maya swallowed. What kind of mistake? They reminded me who I used to be. She didn't ask anything else. But that night, he didn't sleep, and neither did she. Something had begun. A shift in the air. The calm before another kind of storm. Because fear doesn't disappear, it mutates the next day. The principal called her in. This time, it wasn't about Brooke. It was about security. Someone had broken into the school network. Files were accessed. Cameras looped. Old incidents resurfaced. And Maya's name was on more than one report. All falsified. An attempt to rewrite the story. To make her the villain. Her father was already sitting in the office when she arrived. The principal stood. When Maya entered, but not out of respect, out of fear. I think there's something you should see, he said, passing a flash drive across the desk. Maya sat beside her father, heart pounding. He placed the drive into his laptop, clicked, footage rolled fake. Fights, doctored clips, her face superimposed, her voice twisted, the work of someone tech-savvy, deliberate, professional. But there was one mistake. The metadata hadn't been scrubbed. They traced it to a private IP, then to a device, and that device belonged to Olivia. The silence in the room was deafening. Asterisk, the principal stammered. I had no idea this was happening. Her father leaned forward slowly, calm, controlled. I don't need you to apologize, he said. I need you to act. And act they did. By that afternoon, Olivia was escorted from the building, and as she passed Maya in the hall, there was no shame in her eyes, only fury. This isn't over, she whispered. You think because your dad's a soldier, you can scare us. Maya didn't answer. She didn't have to, because behind her, her father stood in full uniform, just watching, and Olivia's words died in her throat. That night, Maya lay in bed, phone silent beside her, heart full of something she hadn't felt. In a long time, peace. Not complete, but enough. Enough to breathe. Enough to believe that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to fight alone anymore. And outside her window, the rain began again. soft, steady, a lullaby for the tired, and a warning for those who hadn't yet learnt. Some girls wear crowns, others wear scars, but Maya Johnson, she wore both. The sky was the color of ash when Maya stepped outside. A thin fog curled across the pavement, softening the world into shadows. The wind tugged at her hoodie, and she pulled it tighter, the chill soaking through the cotton to her skin. Every movement felt deliberate now. Every glance over her shoulder held meaning, because even though Olivia was gone, the silence she left behind rang louder than words. Things at school had changed, but not like movies promised. There wasn't some big moment where everyone suddenly held hands and apologized. There was no montage of acceptance. It was quieter than that, uneasy, half sincere, like people were waiting to see if Maya would shatter or rise before choosing. Aside, some did speak. Riley kept showing up at lunch, sometimes with other girls who no longer orbited Brooke's popularity. Some just gave nods in the hall, unsure what to say, but wanting to say something. It was the most Maya had ever been seen in this building, but it felt lonelier than before, because now everyone saw her. But few understood. Mr. Feldman, the English teacher, was one of the few who looked her in the eye the same way he did before the scandal. "Good writing doesn't come from peace," he said one day, handing back an essay she'd rewritten 3 times. "It comes from survival. And survival is loud, even when the world tries to hush it." She hadn't even told him what she was going through, but he knew. That essay, he gave her an A+. She folded the paper quietly and put it deep in her notebook. A piece of proof, for herself more than anyone else. But peace is a fragile thing. And Maya was learning how quickly it could be broken. The threats started small again. A sticky note on her locker. "You're not done," a hissed insult in the hallway. A girl who accidentally spilled juice on her in the lunch line and didn't even fake an apology. But it wasn't Olivia, and it wasn't Brooke. It was others now, students she didn't even know, people from other grades, other groups, angry at her for something they didn't understand, furious because someone like her wasn't supposed to win. The rumors spread again, that she'd faked the first video, that her dad was dangerous, that she was a spy for some government program. Teenagers didn't need logic, they needed a story, and Maya had become theirs. Her father noticed it before she even told him. He'd become quieter at dinner, more watchful. His phone buzzed often, and he always excused himself before answering. He had started asking her specific questions when she came home. "Did anyone follow you? Did anything look out of place? What time did Riley leave your table?" It wasn't over PROTECTIVNESS. It was instinct. One night, she asked him, point blank, "Are you tracking them?" He looked at her long and hard before answering. "No," he said softly, "but someone might be tracking you, and that changed everything." He called in favors. The cameras around their house were upgraded overnight. Her school ID was swapped for a new one with silent security features embedded. She wasn't allowed to walk home alone anymore. She wanted to be mad about it, but deep down, she was scared too, because someone wasn't just trying to hurt her reputation anymore. They were trying to erase her. It came to a head on a Wednesday. Maya was walking through the east hallway, the one near the gym, when she noticed the lights flickering. Not just flickering, pulsing, like something was draining power. Then the fire alarm screamed. Asterisk, the hallway exploded into chaos. Kids ran, shouted, shoved, but it wasn't like a normal drill. There was panic in their voices, Real panic. The smell of smoke drifted in, and then she saw it, a trash can fire in the girl's bathroom. Flames licking up the tiled wall. Not accidental. Someone had done this. On purpose, and in the chaos, someone grabbed her, a hand on her arm. Strong, yanking Dot for a split second. Her breath vanished, but her father's training kicked in. She twisted. Hard, breaking free, elbowing backward like he taught her. Her attacker stumbled. It wasn't a teacher. Or a student she knew. It was a man in a hoodie face, half covered, and when he backed into the crowd and vanished, Maya knew something that chilled her more than the fire ever could. This wasn't just about school anymore. This was targeted, planned. Warning, she gave her statement to the school officer, hands still shaking, voice flat. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just told the truth. And that night, her father made a call. "I need to call in backup," he said softly, after locking all the windows twice. "This isn't just about you now, Maya. They're trying to send a message." "To who?" she whispered. "To me," he said. "Someone knows who I am, what I've done, and they're using you to get to me." She stared at him in the dark, and for the first time, she truly saw the man he used to be, not just a father, but a soldier, a shadow, someone who'd seen things no parent should bring home, and now it had followed him here, into her world, into her hallway, and she realized something else too. She wasn't just fighting high school anymore, she was fighting history. The next morning, Maya didn't go to school. Her father made the decision before she even opened her eyes. "We're pulling you out for now," he said, standing by her doorway with a quiet finality. "The investigation's already in motion. You're not walking into a trap again." She sat up slowly, still sore from the shove she took the day before. "You think they'll try again?" "I know they will," he replied. "But next time, we'll be ready." Maya's heart pounded in her chest. The walls of her room, once covered in cheer posters and twinkle lights, now felt like a surveillance hub. Her laptop glowed softly on her desk, locked down with new security protocols her dad had installed. The window had sensors. Her phone had been scrubbed and encrypted. She hadn't just become a target, she'd become bait. Her dad made another call that afternoon, not to the police, not to the school board, to a man named Tom. She only heard one side of the call. "It's happening again, yeah. East Coast this time. No, I'm not pulling rank yet. Just need Overwatch. Discreet too. Weeks, tops." Later that night, she heard a knock at the back door. Her dad opened it without hesitation. The man who entered looked like a ghost, pale, quiet, and hard-edged, like someone born in the shadow of conflict. A scar stretched across his left eyebrow, and he moved with the silence of someone who once had to disappear for a living. "Call me Ren," he said. Maya blinked, like the bird. Ren gave a small smirk. "Like the ghost," he said. From that night on, Ren never left. He didn't talk much, slept with one eye open, drank tea at midnight, and every time Maya looked up, he was either near a window, a camera feed, or a laptop scanning something she didn't understand. She hated to admit it, but part of her felt. Safer still, the days away from school dragged like a foggy nightmare. Maya was restless. She missed Riley, missed being able to walk into the world without flinching. She tried to distract herself, watched old cheer videos, wrote in her journal, even started drafting a spoken word poem about being a black girl in white spaces, but none of it made the fear go away. until the news broke. Late Thursday night, Maya's father turned the TV volume up. A local reporter stood outside Westfield High's administration building, the lights behind her flickering in the humid night. Shocking footage obtained by an anonymous source, the reporter said, shows what appears to be a group of students lighting a fire inside the school while another individual stands watched near the hallway where Maya Johnson was allegedly attacked. The video played. It was grainy, but not grainy enough. You could see them, 3 students, all wearing masks, but one with a distinct varsity jacket that had Mitchell on the back, and beside them, the man in the HOOD. Not a student, not a teacher, just there, helping them hurt her. The segment ended with a final line that sent a jolt through Maya's entire body. Authorities have confirmed that this may be tied to a larger cyber harassment campaign involving students from multiple schools across the region. Federal investigators are now involved. She looked at her father. He looked back. Neither of them needed to say it. This was bigger than Olivia, bigger than Brooke, bigger than Westfield. This was coordinated, and someone, somewhere, had decided Maya was a threat worth silencing. Is this why they picked me? She whispered. No, her father said, kneeling beside her. They picked you because you stood up, because you didn't break when you were supposed to, because you scared them. She swallowed hard. So what do we do? His eyes glinted. We finish it. The plan was simple and dangerous. Maya would return to school, not to pretend everything was fine, but to force the cowards out into the open. Her dad and Ren would cover the perimeter. Surveillance, both digital and physical. Backup ready, and somewhere in the middle of all that, Maya would be herself, loud, unshaken, brilliant. She didn't like it, but she understood it. She wasn't just going back to school, she was walking into the lion's den, and she was the only one who could do it. Monday came. The fog had lifted, literally and figuratively. Maya stepped off the bus, her choice, not her father's, with her head high, her hair braided with bright gold cuffs, her backpack slung low, her eyes calm. The whispers began immediately. She's back. After that video, did you see her dad on the news? She didn't flinch. Not when Riley rushed to hug her, not when Brooke averted her gaze and turned toward her locker, not when one of the Mitchell twins muttered something under his breath and disappeared around the corner. She walked the hall like it belonged to her, because it did first. Period passed quietly. Second to dot by third period, her phone buzzed. A message. One word, : basement, no number, no contact name. She showed it to Ren, who was watching remotely. He responded instantly. Don't go, but Maya didn't listen, because she was done hiding. She took the back stairwell down, past the janitor's closet and the broken vending machine. The basement was technically off limits, storage for old books, outdated equipment, forgotten chairs, and that made it the perfect place for a confrontation. She stepped inside. Dim lights, dusty air, then a voice from the shadows. Well, the little cheerleader walks into the lion's den after all. She turned slowly. There he was, the man in the HOODIE, not masked this time. Older than she thought, mid-20s, rough beard, cold eyes, and behind him, another student, a tall, lanky kid she didn't know, with a phone in his hand. Recording. You think you're brave, the man said, but you're just a symbol, a mouthpiece, and we don't need your kind making noise where it doesn't belong. Maya didn't move. You're afraid of me, she said softly, Because you know you can't control me. The man's face twitched behind her back. She tapped her phone, double dash tap, triple tap, just like Ren showed her live feed. Engaged, the moment was being streamed. Every second of it, the man stepped closer. Big mistake, because just then the door burst open. Ren, her father, and 2 officers, guns drawn, on the ground. Now, chaos erupted. The man lunged, but not for Maya, for his phone, trying to delete something. Too late, Ren tackled him. The student with the camera dropped it and ran. Didn't make it far. Maya stood in the middle of it all, calm, steady, fierce. The live feed continued for another full minute before her father gently took the phone from her hand and ended the broadcast. And just like that, everything changed. For the first time in weeks, the silence wasn't terrifying, it was earned. It was the kind of silence that followed a storm, not the kind that built up before one. Maya sat on the hospital bed in the nurse's office, wrapped in a fleece blanket, sipping cold water with shaking hands. She wasn't hurt, not physically, but the adrenaline was crashing hard now, leaving her feeling like her body weighed double what it had when she walked into school that morning. Her dad stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the door like he expected. A second wave of attack. Ren was gone, riding with the officers as the man in the hoodie was processed. His name had come in already. Zach Hadley, former dropout, 19, with priors for digital harassment, trespassing, and suspected hate group affiliations. Not a student, not a teacher, just someone who had decided Westfield was the next place to spread poison. And that poison had nearly cost Maya everything. A knock, it was Principal Rowan, flanked by 2 district administrators. She looked pale, shaky, a woman who had just realized her school was a matchstick factory and someone had been playing with fire under her nose. "Mr. Johnson," she said quietly. "Maya, may we come in?" Maya's father didn't move. "Say what you came to say." Rowan nodded. Her eyes shifted to Maya. "I watched the live stream. I don't have the words. I'm so sorry. We failed you. I failed you." Maya met her gaze, expression unreadable. "We've terminated the students involved. Expelled immediately. Charges are pending. Brooke Taylor is suspended indefinitely pending further. Investigation, we found private messages tying her directly to the fire scare. As for Olivia Mitchell, she won't say a word," Maya interrupted. Rowan blinked. "Sorry, she's posty. She's not the one pulling strings. She's scared of what it means to stand next to me, of what it costs to be a real ally. She'll stay quiet until it's convenient not to." Rowan had no response. The older administrator, a tall man with wire-rimmed glasses, cleared his throat. "Maya, there's something else. The Department of Education is launching an inquiry into Westfield's handling of this. They're disturbed, as they should be. You don't have to return to school immediately, but when you do, we'll protect you. I promise you that." Maya looked between them all, and then at her dad. He didn't speak, just nodded once. She stood. "I'm going back," she said. "Not because I trust you, but because it's mine now. The fear ends with me." By the time she left school that day, Maya had trended on 3 platforms. #Maya Strong, #Basement Bravery, #Black Girls Deserve Peace. Clips from the live streams circulated fast, especially the moment she stood her ground and said, "You're afraid of me because you can't control me." That sentence echoed far beyond the digital walls of Westfield. Girls in other towns began posting their own versions. You can't control me. You can't silence me. It became a chorus. But Maya didn't post any of it. She just watched quietly, and when Riley came over that evening, arms full of snacks and eyes full of awe, they didn't talk about it much. They curled up under a blanket, watched old episodes of Living Single, and laughed like they used to before all of this. "I'm so proud of you," Riley whispered. Maya's throat tightened. "Don't be. Just stay. I will." That night, Maya dreamed of fire again, but this time she walked through it unharmed. The hallway burned, the lockers melted, but she stood in the middle like stone, her hair untouched, her voice steady. She woke up at 4:32 a.m. and wrote everything down. The next week brought changes. Maya didn't expect. The school announced a new Diversity Oversight Committee. Local churches and mosques sent letters of support. A community group offered Maya a scholarship, not out of pity, but recognition. Even her old cheer coach, Ms. Ellis, called and asked to meet privately. They sat on the bleachers one afternoon. "I'm not here to apologize," Ellis said bluntly. "I've had time to think. I made the wrong call. I let pressure get to me. You deserved better." Maya studied her. "So what now?" "You come back," Ellis said. "Not to be a pawn, not to make it look like we're doing the right thing. You come back because this squad needs you. I need you." Maya hesitated. "Things won't go back to the way they were." "They shouldn't," Ellis replied. "But I think you and I could make something better." And so she returned, not like before, not quiet, not eager to please. Maya came back as herself, loud, funny, sharp, and fearless. She started a weekly lunch circle called the Basement Club, a place for students who'd felt silenced to speak freely. No teachers allowed, no phones, just honesty and healing. The first day 4 people showed up. By the end of the month, it was 30-2 and Olivia. She came, too, sat in the back, listened, didn't speak. Not yet, but maybe one day, one afternoon. Maya sat with Riley under their favorite tree in the courtyard. "Do you think we changed anything?" Riley asked. Maya smiled. "We cracked it open. The rest is up to them." Riley leaned on her shoulder. "You're gonna be dangerous when you grow up." Maya laughed softly. Too late. Asterisk, and somewhere, not far from them, a man sat in a parked car, watching the school gates. Ren, still quiet, still ghost-like. But this time, he allowed himself a smile, then started the engine and drove away. Mission complete. The sky cracked open that evening, not with thunder, but with memory. It had been a quiet week. Maya had returned to school. The whispers had dulled. The stares were less sharp. A few kids still looked at her like she was carved from legend. But most were just relieved the headlines had moved on. People always moved on, but trauma didn't dot it. Lingered, quiet and precise, tucked behind the ribs. Maya felt it when she touched the doorknob to her room each night, when she looked at the cheer trophy on her shelf, when she opened her journal and stared at a blank page because the words refused to come. It had been Riley who asked the question no one else dared. "Have you ever asked your dad about your mum?" They were sitting on the swings by the park, legs dragging lazy arcs in the wood chips. Riley's voice had been gentle, but the words landed like a dropped match. Maya didn't answer at first. Then, "He doesn't talk about her." "You ever try?" Maya shook her head. "Once, when I was little. I remember asking if she looked like me. He just nodded, said she had the same fire, that's all. Riley kicked at the dirt. She died. Maya hesitated. I don't know. That night, she waited until her dad had gone to bed. The house creaked with that familiar nighttime rhythm, the hum of the fridge, the occasional groan of pipes, the silence between. She opened the attic. The ladder screamed in protest. She hadn't been up here since she was 10. The insulation scratched at her skin as she moved, flashlight in one hand, her other bracing against the beams. Boxes surrounded her, labeled in her father's precise, military scrawl, but one stood out. ELISE, personal. She froze, then sat, opened it. Inside were notebooks, loose photographs, cassettes, old film rolls, pieces of someone Maya had never truly met. She lifted the top layer and found a photo of a young black woman sitting on a rusted hood of a car, laughing with her whole body, hair like waves, eyes like Maya's. There was something bold in her posture, something untamed. On the back, written in faded ink, Elise, 1999, free as hell. Maya sat back, breath shaky. Her mother wasn't some quiet, tragic figure in a family photo. She'd been alive, larger than life, and possibly still out there. She didn't sleep. The next morning, Maya confronted her dad. He was making coffee, shirtless, dog tags glinting against his chest. He glanced up when she dropped the photo on the table. For a moment, he didn't blink then. You went into the attic. Why didn't you tell me she was like this? Maya demanded. Why didn't you tell me anything? He sat, slowly, pushed the mug aside. Because I didn't know how to explain the truth. She didn't say anything, so he did. Elise was a journalist, not the kind who sat behind a desk, the kind who went to war zones and exposed cartels. She was fearless, too. Fearless sometimes. He looked past her, like the kitchen dissolved into a memory. She left when you were 2. Not because she didn't love you, because she found something she couldn't ignore. A story, a pattern, missing women, trafficking routes buried under military cover stories. She tried to bring it to light. Then she disappeared. The silence rang loud. Disappeared. Maya echoed. No body, no note, no proof. Just gone. The last call I got from her said, if anything happens, tell Maya I didn't run. He looked at her now, really looked. She didn't abandon us. She vanished. I searched for 2 years, burned through every contact I had, and then I had to stop. For your safety, Maya stared at him. You think she's alive? I don't know what I think, but I never gave up hope. Later that week, Maya took the tapes to Riley's house. They sat in the basement, an old cassette player between them, wires jury-rigged into Riley's speakers. Static crackled, then a woman's voice bloomed through the fuzz. It was low, sharp, intelligent. This is Elise Walker reporting. If you're hearing this, it means I've crossed a line. It means someone has decided I got too close. But I want you to know, I didn't die for nothing. I followed the money. I followed the roots. And they lead back to a name, Kittredge. Find that name. And tell Maya, tell her I never wanted to leave her. Not for a second. The tape ended. Maya didn't move. Neither did Riley. What the hell is Kittredge? Riley whispered. Maya stood, eyes burning. Something worth burning the world down to find. The next day, Maya skipped school. She returned to the attic, to every folder, every map, every crumpled receipt Elise had left behind. There was a pattern, dates, ports, flight manifests, asterisk, A half-burned photo of a man in a white suit with a hawk tattoo on his wrist at the bottom of the box. A business card. No name, just a number. She called it 1ring.2. Then a voice. If this is Elisa's daughter, we need to talk. The voice on the phone wasn't trembling. It wasn't rushed or suspicious. It was precise, measured, a little too calm for Maya's taste. If this is Elisa's daughter, we need to talk. Maya held the receiver tight. Who are you? She asked. A pause. Then, someone who knew your mother, and someone who promised her if anything happened, keep the story alive. She didn't recognize the voice. It sounded older, male, maybe British, maybe military. There was something clipped in the cadence, something sharp. I'm listening, Maya said. No, you're not, he replied. Not on a line like this. Then a beep and silence. The line went dead. Riley's fingers flew over the keyboard. They were in his basement again. Music posters peeling off the walls, that weird green beanbag chair, half eaten by time in the corner. But Maya wasn't lounging. She stood behind him, eyes fixed on the screen. She'd told Riley everything. The tapes, the attic, the voice on the phone. Now he was trying to trace the call. No number left behind, he muttered. No call log at all. It vanished. Maya said, like it never happened. Riley rubbed his temples. This is so far beyond high school drama. Maya crossed her arms. That's why we're not asking the school. Or the cops. She paused. We find Kittredge. Riley gave a dry laugh. We don't even know if that's a person, a place, a company. We'll find it. Her voice cut through the room like flint dot. Riley nodded, understanding. Maya wasn't just chasing a ghost now. She was chasing a legacy, a family truth. The silence her father wrapped around her entire life. They started digging, and the deeper they went, the darker it got. Kittredge, it turned out, was a company. On paper. Anyway, Kittredge Solutions, registered in Nevada. Shell accounts traced to Dubai. No listed employees. No website. The kind of name that floated on contracts for defense consulting, private security, international logistics, whatever those euphemisms meant. Riley leaned back from the monitor. This is black ops level stuff. Exactly the kind of thing my mum would have been chasing, Maya said. She scrolled down the PDF. Riley had pulled up a leaked document listing. Kittredge, as a subcontractor for a military project called Operation Crossstep. What the hell is Crossstep? She asked. Riley squinted. Looks like it was a logistics operation tied to a human trafficking ring exposed in ... Kazakhstan, Colombia. Wait, no, Burkina Faso. Maya's heart pounded. Burkina Faso, the country her mother last reported from. Pull up every article Elise Walker published in her last year, she said. It didn't take long. They scanned the headlines. One by one, a list of stories nobody had wanted to print. Stories that painted a picture of corporate and military collusion, of innocent people swept into wars not their own, of mercenary violence and dirty money. Elise had been on the brink of something huge, and someone had silenced her. Maya knew it in her bones. Now her mother hadn't vanished. She had been disappeared. Her father wasn't home when she returned, which was strange. He always called Maya, tried not to panic. She paced the kitchen, stared at the clock, texted him, called, left messages, waited. When 2 hours passed, she called Riley. I think something's wrong. Riley arrived 10 minutes later, still in his hoodie, hair messy, eyes sharp. They searched the house. Her father's truck wasn't in the driveway. His room looked normal: bed, made with military precision, a small stack of bills on the nightstand. But the closet was open. His go bag was gone. Go bag? Riley asked. He only took it once before, Maya said. When I was 10, said he needed to clean up a mess in Serbia. Riley paled. Okay, that's terrifying. Maya walked to the back porch and stopped. There was a note taped to the inside of the screen door, folded once, plain white paper. She peeled it off and opened it. Don't trust anyone, not even me. Dad's sleep was impossible. Maya stayed up watching the street. Headlights made her flinch. Every siren, every bump of the night was a warning bell by dawn. Her face was pale and drawn, her eyes red with exhaustion. Then her phone vibrated. Unknown number, she answered. A woman's voice. Maya, this is Delaney. I was your mother's contact at the Herald. Maya sat up. Why now? Because you're in danger. Kittredge knows you've been digging, and your father just went off grid to protect you. Where is he? I don't know, but I know who can help. There was a pause, then an address. Go to this cafe. Ask for someone named Bishop. He'll recognize the name Elise. Maya scribbled it down. Why should I trust you? She asked. Delaney exhaled. Because Elise saved my life, and I promised I'd watch over hers. Riley insisted on going. With her, they drove 3 towns over, to a sleepy corner cafe with faded blue paint and a crooked open sign. Maya scanned the room: elderly couples, a barista humming something sad. 2 tired truckers, then a man in a corner booth raised his coffee cup. Maya approached. Bishop. She asked. The man was in his 60s, with a steel grey beard, sunglasses indoors, and a cane that looked more like a weapon than a crutch. Elise's girl, he said. You've got her eyes. They sat. Maya explained everything. Bishop listened, without interrupting. When she finished, he leaned in. Kittredge isn't just a company, it's a cover. For black market extractions, for influence peddling. They smuggle people, secrets, anything with a price tag. He paused. Your mother was close to naming names. So they tried to erase her. She's alive? Maya asked, voice shaking. I don't know, but I know where she was last seen. He slid a map across the table, a red circle around a small, unnamed village in Burkina Faso. She was on her way there when she vanished. Maya looked at the map and knew she was going. No matter what, back home. Maya packed. She didn't hesitate. Her father had trained her well. She knew how to handle herself, knew how to vanish if needed. But as she closed the zipper on her duffel bag, she paused, because this wasn't just a rescue. It was a reckoning. And if Kittredge thought she was just a cheerleader, with no spine, no backup, and no rage, they were about to meet the daughter of Elise Walker and a Navy SEAL. They were about to meet fire. The sky above, Ouagadougou, pulsed with heat. The airport was a concrete hush of sun-glared windows and unspoken questions. Maya stepped off the plane wearing a borrowed name, a forged visa, and sunglasses too big for her face. Riley trailed behind her, backpack slung low, sweat already forming at his collar. Neither of them had slept. They couldn't afford to. From the moment Bishop handed them the encrypted passport files, everything had moved like a current. They couldn't stop. Flights rerouted through Brussels, briefings whispered over burner phones, instructions smuggled in phrases like "buy mangoes near the red gate." They were far from home now, far from Westfield High, and even further from cheerleading. Tryouts and locker room whispers. Taxi, Riley said, eyes scanning the lot. No, Maya replied, pointing instead to a small cafe across the street. We wait. It took 15 minutes before a man appeared, dressed like a street vendor, but with eyes like steel. He nodded once, and dropped a slip of paper on their table as he passed. Travel light, sunset, meet at the old train yard. That was it. Asterisk. Riley looked at Maya. We're really doing this, huh? Maya didn't blink. We've already started. The train yard was a rusting skeleton of what it used to be. Twisted rails, gutted carriages, graffiti in French, and more crawling across the walls like faded ghosts. The sun dipped low, painting everything in burnt gold. Maya and Riley waited, near an abandoned caboose. Then a figure emerged, tall, black combat gear, a face wrapped in a scarf, but the eyes come familiar. Maya stepped forward. Dad. He pulled the scarf down. It was him, Cole, Walker, Navy SEAL, missing father, ghost. In the wind could have used better aliases, he muttered, arms crossing. You were sloppy at the Brussels checkpoint. Riley laughed in disbelief. Maya stared at her father, every emotion warring across her face. You left without saying a word, she whispered. I had to, he said. They're watching everything. Phones, streets, even Bishop's Cafe. Was compromised. He turned to Riley. And you brought him. You trust him. With my life, Maya said. Asterisk. Cole nodded once. That was all Riley got. Maya stepped closer. Tell me the truth. About Mum. About everything. Cole looked away. Then back. She found something in Burkina. A compound, hidden in the jungle. Kittredge was testing something. Not just trafficking, conditioning, rewriting people, erasing them and rebuilding them as assets. Human reprogramming. Riley asked. Stunned, Cole nodded. Psychological warfare taken to an industrial scale. Your mother was going to expose it. Then her signal went dead. And you think she's there? Maya asked. I've never stopped looking, Cole said. But the deeper I got, the clearer it became they don't want her found. His eyes burned into Maya's. And now that you're here, they'll come for you too. That night they moved fast. Cole had a contact, an old fixer named Ishuf, who owed him favors from a mission years ago. Ishuf secured them a vehicle, fake NGO badges, and a week's worth of supplies. Their destination, Turner Erd, a desolate region near the Mali border, where the jungle met red desert and whispers went to die. The ride was rough potholes, military checkpoints, roads that vanished into dust. But the further they got, the more Maya felt the truth pulsing like a drum. Beneath her ribs, she was close. Her mother had walked this path, and maybe, just maybe, her mother had left a trail. They reached the edge of Turner by dusk. On the third day, Cole parked the jeep under a canopy of thorn brush, camouflaged it with dry brush, and pulled out. The encrypted sat phone, last satellite pass, is in 20 minutes, he said. If there's movement at the compound, we'll see it. Maya and Riley huddled beside him as he synced the device. The satellite image blinked to lifer, thermal scan, grainy and flickering. But it was there. The compound walled, remote, guard towers, and inside heat signatures. Dozens of them, some walking erratically, others still. Riley frowned. Are those prisoners? Subjects, Cole said. Most of them taken from villages that don't exist on maps. Maya pointed. That section right there. It looks like an infirmary. Cole zoomed there, among the heat signatures, one smaller, separate, marked with an intermittent pulse. Low. Body temp, he said. Sedated or sick. Maya's heart raced. It's her. Cole didn't argue. We move at dawn, he said. The jungle was a furnace of noise. Insects droned like electricity. Every footstep cracked dry leaves. The air was thick with tension and heat. They approached the compound in silence. Crawling the last stretch, Cole went first, disabling a motion sensor with a flick of his knife. Riley followed, nervous but focused, his eyes wide. Maya brought up the rear, her mother's voice echoing in her memory. Truth is dangerous, Maya, but so is silence. They slipped over the outer wall, hugged the shadows. Cole pointed. Infirmary, northwest quadrant. They moved, and then, chaos dot. A flare arced overhead. Move. Cole shouted, pushing Maya and Riley toward a maintenance shed. Gunfire erupted from the tower. Cole returned fire. 2 guards fell, but more emerged. Black helmets, stun rifles, dogs. They were waiting for them. It was a trap. Inside the shed, Maya ripped open a maintenance panel and found a vent shaft. In here, she shoved Riley forward, then crawled in after him. Cole followed. Last, grunting as bullets ricocheted off the metal walls behind them. They crawled for what felt like miles. Then a great Maya kicked it out and dropped into a cold, tiled corridor. The infirmary, she could smell the antiseptic. Hear the hum of machines. Doors lined the hallway. They tried the first 3 empty, then the 4th. Maya's breath caught. Asterisk there, strapped to a hospital bed, pale eyes closed. Mum, she whispered. She rushed forward. Elise didn't stir. Anne. 4 fed into her arm. Monitors blinked. Her hair was thinner. Her face sunken. Cole moved beside her, eyes wide with grief. Riley checked the hallway. We don't have time. Cole pulled a syringe from his belt and injected something into the 4. Stimulant, he said, to wake her. They waited. Then a flicker. Elise's eyes opened. At first, they didn't register anything. Then her lips parted. Maya choked back tears. It's me, Mum. I'm here. We're getting you out. Elise tried to move. No, Cole said gently. We'll carry you. The alarms were louder now. More guards. They had seconds. Maya grabbed a wheeled stretcher. Cole lifted Elise onto it. Riley scouted the hallway, back through the vents. He asked, No time, Cole said. We go loud. He tossed Maya a stun grenade. You remember how I taught you? She nodded, pulled the pin, and threw. The blast was deafening. They moved through the smoke and screams. Elise clutched tight, Maya leading the way. They burst into the courtyard. More guards. Riley grabbed a rifle, covered them. Cole hot-wired a supply truck near the gates. They loaded Elise into the back. Then Maya turned on, saw her mother, hand weakly raised, pointing. Wait, Elise whispered. There's more others still in there. But Cole shook his head. We come back. And with that, they roared through the gates, tires screaming over gravel, fire at their backs. Maya held her mother's hand as they vanished into the jungle, heart pounding. Tears falling, they had found her. But the war wasn't over. It had only just begun. The jungle swallowed the truck hole. Branches scraped metal. The engine coughed. Dust and foliage blurred together into a violent smear of green and red. But they didn't stop. Not for potholes. Not for shouts behind them. Not for the rifle shots that cracked like lightning through the trees. Cole drove. Like a man possessed. Elise lay in the back, eyes fluttering, sweat beading on her forehead. Maya gripped her mother's hand tightly, whispering her name like a prayer. Riley sat beside them, one hand clutching a stolen rifle, the other holding pressure against a gash on his side. "She's burning up," Maya said. "She needs real care. Soon," Cole shouted over the engine, eyes fixed on the road. "If it could be called that. There's a field medics, station 40 clicks east. French Red Cross used it before they pulled out. Might still have power. And if it doesn't?" Riley asked, wincing. Cole didn't answer. He didn't need to. Everyone knew the truth. This wasn't a rescue. It was an escape. Asterisk, they made it to the outpost. Just before dusk, an old colonial structure swallowed by vines and rot, standing like a tombstone at the edge of the Turner S reach. Cole checked the perimeter, then kicked the doors in. Dust exploded into the air. But the solar panels miraculously still held charge. A dim hum of power answered. They carried Elise inside. There were no nurses, no doctors, but there were stretchers, old equipment, IVs, a med fridge, still cool. To the touch, Maya peeled back Elise's blood-stained hospital gown, and froze. Lines had been tattooed along her spine. Rows of numbers, BARCOD, S medical instructions, genetic formulas, doses, warnings. What did they do to her? Maya whispered. Cole hovered over his wife, fists clenched. They turned her into a prototype, like software in a human body. Elise stirred again. Her voice was raw. He called it Project Silence. Maya leaned in. Who did? Elise blinked, and her lips trembled. Kittredge, the name hit the air like a bomb. Kittredge is dead, Cole muttered. I saw the reports. No, Elise rasped. They faked it. He runs everything now, from the shadows. Cole sat down hard. Riley looked between them. Wait, who's Kittredge? Elise's old handler, Cole said. CIA Brilliant, ruthless, untraceable. Maya touched the barcodes on her mother's back again. What is Project Silence? Elise looked at her daughter, tears sliding down her face. A weapon. They're building people who don't remember who they were, so they can become whoever they're told to be. Soldiers, Riley asked. Leaders, diplomats, activists, people the public trusts. Elise's breath was shallow. Reprogrammed, owned. Cole stood again. We shut it down. Tomorrow, Elise grabbed his wrist. You can't just run in. You need proof. We have you, Maya said. But Elise shook her head. No, they'll say I broke, that I imagined it. You need the files, the test records, coordinates. There's a server, room level 3, west corridor, hidden behind a biometric lock. Fingerprint. Riley asked. Heartbeat, Elise said. Only opens with mine. Or a perfect genetic match. All three turned to Maya. The jungle slept like a predator. Heavy watching, Maya couldn't sleep. She sat outside, under a battered canvas awning, watching the trees sway under the pale breath of moonlight. Cole joined her, 2 cups of stale instant coffee in hand. You sure you're ready for this? He asked. Maya nodded. I thought I'd never see her again. Cole exhaled. You were 12 when she vanished. I remember, Maya said. She hugged me so tight I thought my ribs would snap. Then she told me to go back inside, and she was gone. Silence. Cole's voice was gravel when it returned. You were brave. You didn't cry. I did, Maya whispered. You just didn't see me. He looked at her then. Really looked. You're not the little girl I left behind. No, she said. And you're not the man I used to look up to. It hurt to say, but it needed to be said. He didn't argue. Instead, he passed her a flash drive. Bishop sent this. Blueprints of the facility. He also found someone Nan insider, who Cole hesitated. A woman named Zara used to be part of the program, defected last year. She knows the layout, and she'll get us in when tonight. Maya looked toward the shack where her mother slept. Then we go tonight. Asterisk, they met Zara just after midnight at a burned-out fuel station near the northern escarpment. She was young, maybe 20. Skin like burnished copper, hair buzzed short, but her eyes got her eyes, looked 100 years old. You're the daughter, Zara said, not even offering her name. Maya nodded. She's lucky, Zara said. Most of us don't get rescued. Maya bristled. We're not done yet. Zara grinned. Good. They moved fast. Jeep engines covered by tarps, guns packed in duffel bags, night vision goggles distributed like candy. The plan was simple. Zara would lead them through the old waterway tunnels. Maya would access the biometric scanner. Cole and Riley would download the data and destroy the core servers. Then they'd torch the place. No survivors. No second chances. The tunnels smelled like mildew and rot. Zara led the way. Flashlight low, steps soundless. Used to smuggle sedated test subjects through here, she whispered. When the trucks were too risky, they reached the vault door. Just before dawn, the biometric scanner blinked red. Maya stepped forward. It scanned her eyes. Then her pulse. Green light. The door hissed open. Inside rows of servers glowing like artificial stars. Screens ran endless lines of code. Test files, names, photographs. Most were children. Cole and Riley moved like ghosts, planting data siphons and thermite charges. Maya drifted toward a terminal. She typed her mother's name. Elise Walker, subject, 5 Theta, status, rejected. Still operational. Memory, 42% retained. Loyalty, 67%. Then she typed her own name. Maya Walker, subject 005. Theta B, the screen froze. Error, access, denied. Maya's stomach dropped. She tried again, same result. Zara, she called. Why can't I access my own file? Zara stared at the screen, then back at Maya. Because you were never supposed to be part of it. The room went still. What do you mean? Cole asked. Zara exhaled. Elise was pregnant when they recruited. Her, they didn't know. But when they found out, they accelerated everything. You're saying, Maya started. You were born into the project, Zara said. You were never outside it. That's why Kittredge wants you so badly. Maya's hands trembled. I'm one of them. No, Cole snapped. You're my daughter. Zara didn't flinch. She's both. Suddenly dash alarms. The vault doors slammed shut. Gas hissed from the ceiling. They found us. Riley coughed. Maya grabbed the flash drive from Cole's hand, and then everything went black. She woke up in chains, bright lights, cold floor. Voices speaking in clipped French and English. A room with mirrors, and on the other side of the glass dash, Kittredge, alive, grinning. You're stronger than we expected, he said. Maya sat up slowly, bruised, bleeding, but not broken. Not yet, you. don't know what I'm capable of, she said. Kittredge leaned closer to the glass. Oh, but I do, he whispered. After all, I made you. She refused to cry in front of him, even with the cuffs digging into her wrists, even with her head pounding from the gas. Maya sat up straighter on the cold steel bench, eyes locked on the one-way mirror. She knew he was there, watching, studying, planning. The glass buzzed, and then the door slid open. No guards, no fanfare, just Kittredge. Same silver hair, combed neatly, same tailored dark suit, same wolf-like stillness. He didn't look older. He looked colder, like time had given him permission to shed whatever was left of being human. Hello. Maya, he said, like greeting an old friend. She said nothing, I must admit. He continued, taking a seat across from her. I had doubts. Your file predicted obedience, loyalty, but instead, here you are, a loose end with a stolen drive and a Navy SEAL daddy. You experimented on my mother, Maya said, her voice hoarse. Yes, he said without apology, but only because she volunteered. She was kidnapped. Semantics. He leaned in slightly, folding his hands. You're angry. That's good. Shows the cortex is developing as expected. That fire, that defiance, it's beautiful. You have no idea how many test groups we went through before someone like you finally stuck. Maya's fists clenched. I'm not yours. Oh, but you are, Kittredge said. In every measurable way, genetically tailored from 2 enhanced parents, in utero conditioning, accelerated reflex training, immunity sequencing, 12 fail-safe codes embedded deep in your hippocampus. Do you know what that means, Maya? She didn't answer. Asterisk it means, he said slowly. You were born to lead the next generation. A sleeper commander, the kind of figure people trust instinctively. Not because of propaganda or charisma, but because your very biology tells them to. You don't win wars with armies anymore. You win them with influence. And what was I supposed to do? Maya asked quietly. Grow up and deliver a TED talk about global domination. Kittredge smiled. No, dear, you were supposed to vanish until we needed you. He rose. We accelerated your timeline once Elise escaped. You never should have reached adolescence on your own. It was too dangerous. Maya's pulse spiked. And now, he said, tapping the glass behind him, we fix things. The mirror dissolved behind it, dozens of monitors, footage from the cheer, team.her, school, the hospital, live feeds of Cole and Riley bound in separate cells. Elise on a stretcher, sedated again. You'll return to them, of course, Kittredge said. We'll reinsert you cleanly. You'll believe this was a nightmare, a trauma-induced delusion, and you'll be the perfect daughter again. Maya stood, her chair clanging to the floor. You'll wipe my memory, only the parts that matter. And if I resist, Kittredge raised a remote. I press this, he said, and they die. Maya's jaw trembled. He turned to go. Oh, one more thing, he added. I saw the footage, Westfield High, the locker room, the hallway, the pep rally. That was real strength. That's who you are, not this rebel fantasy, a leader, an icon, a weapon. He paused at the door. Sleep well, sweetheart. And then he was gone. They kept her in a simulation chamber. The lights were soft. The air smelled like lavender. The temperature never changed. A voice repeated her name gently. Every 30 seconds, Maya, it's okay. You're safe. You're home. But she knew what it was. a neural scrubber they were trying to rewrite. Her, layer by layer, day by day. Sometimes Elisa's voice would break through, sometimes Cole's, sometimes Riley shouting, but most of the time it was just her, floating. In the white fog of the system, she began counting seconds, memories, fragments, the feel of Riley's hand on hers, the sound of her father's footsteps on old wood, the way Elisa's voice cracked when she whispered, "I'm sorry I left." She clung to those fragments like anchors, until one night, a flicker, a glitch, the fog trembled, asterisk, and a second voice broke through. "Maya, if you can hear me, fight it. You have 10 minutes before reboot. Override code, that is Zulu 7. Use the wall panel. Wake up." Zara, somehow, somewhere, Zara was alive. Maya turned toward the white wall. Her limbs felt like stone, her thoughts slurred, but her fingertips remembered. She pressed a sequence into the smooth panel. The wall blinked. Override accepted. Memory restore. Incomplete. Warning, trauma, conflict detected. Do it, Maya whispered. Pain slammed into her skull like thunder. Every memory, every scream, every moment, she thought, she'd lost came crashing down at once. The room spun. Her body convulsed. Then silence. Clarity. She was awake, and she remembered everything. She moved like a ghost through the corridors, her bare feet silent, her eyes scanning for the layout Zara had shown her. She passed the observation room, the server vault, the control room where they'd erased 1,000 lives. She reached the detainment wing. Riley was first bruised, beaten, but alive. She broke his cuffs with a stolen KEYCARD. Then Cole, bloodied, breathing. Still a fighter, last, Elise, pale. IVs in her arms, eyes flickering. "Mum," Maya whispered. Elise opened her eyes and smiled. "You did it." Maya nodded. "Can you walk? With help?" They moved quickly. Alarms had already begun. Red lights painted the walls. Security teams thundered through lower halls. Asterisk Zara's voice crackled through a stolen cum. "Exit route on level 2, East Corridor. I'll meet you there." They ran. Doors burst open. Gunfire rang out. Cole tackled a guard. Riley grabbed a weapon. Maya dragged Elise under cover. A grenade exploded near the labs. Fire licked the walls. They reached the exit corridor blocked. Kittredge stood there, alone, a pistol in one hand. "Stop," he said. They did. "Don't do this," he told Maya. "You don't know what you're giving up." "I do," she said. "I'm giving up being your experiment. You were never just that." "No," she said. "I was always more." He raised the pistol, but before he could fire, Zara shot him 3 times in the chest. He dropped without a sound, and they ran through smoke, through flames, through the last crumbling pieces of the lab that had tried to bury them. The desert wind howled. Dawn cracked the horizon in molten gold. A black hawk hovered above the ruins, kicking up sand. Inside, Maya sat between her parents, eyes stinging, heart thudding. Cole wrapped an arm around Elise. Riley leaned across from them, eyes rimmed red but focused, and Zara stood near the cockpit, already planning what came next. Maya looked down at the flash, drive in her hand, everything they'd done, everyone they'd hurt. Proof. She met her father's eyes. "What do we do with it?" He looked at her not as a child, but as a soldier. "We tell the world," he said. "Every truth, every secret." Maya nodded. Then we burn the rest. It was Maya's first day back at Westfield High. No parade, no headlines, no applause, just the sound of her sneakers brushing the pavement, her fingers gripping the strap of a new backpack, and the slight breeze tugging gently at the edges of her braids. The building hadn't changed, but she had. The girl who walked into the halls today wasn't the same one who had walked into them months ago with wide eyes and hope. She had buried the girl who had begged to be liked and built someone stronger. In her place, the metal detector buzzed as she passed through. A security guard nodded, unfamiliar and polite. Students glanced her way, some confused, some cautious. The rumor mill had chewed and spit her name into a dozen versions. Vanished, expelled, locked, in a psych ward, even joined a gang. But the truth walked past them without fear, head high, gaze steady. She wasn't here to explain herself. She was here to finish what she started. First stop was the front office. Mrs. Felder's brows arched the moment she looked up from her desk. "Maya, I'm not dead," Maya said, flatly. "No, I mean, thank God. We thought, you thought wrong." Silence fell. The principal's door opened. Mr. Whitman emerged, fake concern stitched into his expression. "Maya, we heard there was some family emergency." "No one really. Do you want to know what happened?" she asked, stepping forward. He hesitated. "I don't think, then don't guess," she cut in. "I'm here, I'm enrolled, and I'm not going anywhere." "Of course not," he said quickly. "We'll alert your teachers. You'll need to catch up." "Though you've missed time," she said, "not education." She left them standing there, mouths half open. She didn't need directions to find Derek. The locker room hallway was exactly how she remembered, damp, echoing, and reeking of sweat and ego. Voices carried out laughter. Laughter then. "Bro, remember that cheer chick? The one who cracked that bottle over Zach's head? Wild." Maya stepped into the doorway, and silence dropped like a bomb. Derek turned, mid-sentence. The look on his face when he saw her genuine shock was better than any revenge fantasy she had imagined. "Yo, what the hell?" "Hi, Derek," she said, calm as ice. He blinked. You disappeared. People said you were crazy, violent, dangerous," she finished. "You said that, didn't you?" He glanced around, seeking backup. "None came. I didn't mean. You meant every word. You and your little pack. You thought you could break me." Her voice didn't rise. It didn't have to, because every eye in that hallway was locked on her now, and every soul knew the truth. She wasn't afraid. "You touched my hair without asking. You spread lies. You watched your friend shove me into a closet and didn't say a word." She stepped closer. "And you know what? I forgive you." He looked stunned, but then she added, just loud enough, "Because I don't carry garbage with me anymore." Then she turned and walked out, leaving Derek and his silence behind. Later, at lunch, she sat in the courtyard, not hidden, not in the far corner. She sat dead center, the sun warm on her skin, a book open in her lap. And slowly, like the tide returning, people began to drift her way. Some stopped to stare, some smiled awkwardly, some whispered, but one came with confidence. Riley, his backpack slung loose, his smile crooked. He dropped into the seat across from her. Hey, everyone's staring. They'll get used to it." He nodded, pulled a protein bar from his pocket, and held it out. "Peace offering." She took it, bit into it, chewed. Still tastes like chalk, she said. Tradition, he said. They both laughed quietly, and the weight between them softened. Then came Zara, newly enrolled, hair shorter, eyes sharper. She nodded once at Maya, like warriors greeting in silence. Then coal-fresh, out of recovery, limping a little, but alive and smirking. And finally, Lise Maya's mother stood at the edge of the courtyard, watching a subtle smile on her face. Maya didn't wave. She didn't need to. They'd come through hell, and they had work to do. That night, Maya uploaded the footage, all of it, the labs, the chambers, the memory wipes, the program files, every secret they tried to bury. She dumped it into encrypted files and sent it to the press, to the networks, to every major outlet and whistleblower platform on the planet. She didn't need fame. She needed truth, and when the world finally saw what had been done, what had been hidden, change would come. Not fast, not easy, but real. Weeks later, Westfield High hosted a memorial assembly for the victims of Project Halo. No names were given, but Maya stood at the back of the gym, her hands folded, her posture quiet and proud. When the names were read-only, ID numbers, she bowed her head. She knew them, she remembered them, and now the world would too. In the locker room mirror, Maya stared at herself, still black, still brilliant, still standing. She reached into her bag and pulled out the old Westfield cheer uniform. She held it, then smiled, and dropped it into the trash, because she didn't need it anymore. She didn't need approval or applause or permission to exist. She had already won, not because she fought back, but because she survived, because she refused to be erased, because she remembered the girl who was targeted. She was gone, and in her place stood Maya Johnson, daughter of warriors, breaker of chains, unbreakable.